Welcome to Central News, I'm Amy Forrest. In today's news, teaching children about pairs of socks instead of adding and subtracting could help our mathematics in schools. A University of Waikato study will try to find new ways for primary school children to learn mathematics by using counting, grouping and equal sharing strategies instead of traditional adding and subtracting. Associate Professor of Education and Human Development Jenny Young-Loveridge says this study is important because research evidence from a large cohort of New Zealand students shows that at most year levels, insufficient numbers of students meet or exceed the expectations reflected in the curriculum and national standards.
Well, I think that people assume that learning mathematics, learning about numbers is very straightforward and it's just a bunch of adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing. But actually it's very challenging for teachers to come to understand about the underlying structure so that they can help students to appreciate number properties and the way numbers are made up of parts that together make the whole, and that's why our focus is on groups, as in starting with groups of two and being able to work smart with groups of two, using familiar materials like pairs of socks and pairs of sneakers and gumboots and things like that that are very familiar.
Hamilton City Youth Council is celebrating Youth Week by hosting a number of events this week. Tomorrow night, they are hosting a family quiz night to fundraise for a charity of choice of the winning team. On Friday night, the Hamilton Youth Council will take on the Hamilton Inline Hockey Club to bring to you a retro roller disco, and there will be prizes for the best retro dress-up. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, your Thursday will have a few cloudy periods with light winds. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 8. Tauranga, your Thursday will be mostly cloudy with some evening rain and light winds. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 11. Just ahead, mass in Kura Kaupapa. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. A recent study has been undertaken to discover effective learning methods for children in Kura Kaupapa Māori at the University of Waikato. And Hilary spoke with Ngārewa and Marilyn to find out more.
Ngārewa, tell us what your recent study was about.
Last year we decided, Marilyn and myself, that we'd like to get into a classroom, work with some real teachers or a teacher who's got some real children for mathematics or pāngaro. We were fortunate enough to find a teacher who wanted to work with us as much as we wanted to work with her in a Māori medium situation for pāngaro. And she chose the area to work in. She'd already assessed her children in geometry and decided that in a particular part of geometry and decided that there were particular aspects that she wanted to look at. We then came back to work and thought about tasks that might be useful and wondered about whether or not they would be helpful for supporting children in Māori medium to learn these aspects of transformation geometry. So that was kind of like our focus, are these tasks useful? We think they are, but are they really? And we got together with a teacher and planned a unit of work with her ideas as well. And then last year, in the first part of the year, she decided that she would go through go through that unit of work with the children. My job also was to actually go into the classroom on occasions to watch, to listen to what the children were doing, listen to their questions, listen and watch the teacher to a lesser degree. The emphasis really was, or the focus was on whether or not what the children were making of the tasks and what learning might come out of it for them. I mean, in Māori medium, you want children to learn mathematics, but you also want them to stay Māori and to be Māori and to reaffirm that, etc. And so we had to think about that with the tasks as well. We were fortunate to have such an experienced teacher who was passionate and committed, not only about where she was teaching, but also about what she was teaching and being passionate about pāngaro, really about mathematics. And so I went in a few occasions and sat with the kids, observed, took recordings, and then after school on some occasions the three of us would get together and talk about what the issues might be, what learning we thought was going on here, and was there any real learning going on, and what were things that needed to be addressed in the future. We just had a skeleton of an idea, really, in terms of the unit, and as I say, we were really thankful to have a teacher who was passionate about her children's learning. I mean, she wasn't, her focus wasn't really on helping us with our research or anything like that. We were privileged to be allowed to be a part of her classroom for that time and to be with her children simply because she thought we might have some things to offer kids, really. And so we had that three-way kind of study going between us, didn't we? And which we just found so interesting and fascinating, really. So that's really what the overall study was. We had the support of the university to do that. We had to do ethics to make sure that the kids were going to be looked after. The study wasn't just about the university getting what they wanted, etc., so that the children were the uppermost part of the study here, etc., and that it wasn't about university lecturers going out with a really good idea and that was all, etc. So all of those sort of steps that we had to approach the Board of Trustees to get their approval, the principal, etc. So, all of that was kind of like the background to the study as well, etc. And, I guess we just brought a bit of, as I say, with us, it was to see whether or not the tasks that we were currently promoting with our students in their, teacher education, and then we just thought, well, we think these are good. We better get in and see if they, and will they work really well with Māori medium, and then will they work with Māori children in mainstream schools as well? Would they be good ideas there too? That was sort of at the back of our mind.
Marilyn, what conclusions did you draw from the study?
One of the major conclusions that we drew was that the tasks were relevant, and particularly with the expertise of the teacher, she could assess the children's learning and then change a task or adapt it to meet the particular circumstances. So we came to that conclusion. Another formulation that we came to was recognising the adaptability of children, because they moved from the context of their school, they moved into more traditional contexts like the local marae that they were affiliated to, and looked at the mathematics that was available through that sort of medium in terms of the decorations and the kawhaiwhai patterns and things that are in a marae, which linked beautifully to the geometry that we were exploring with them. And the other conclusion we came to was that how adept that children are and have become with using the resources that are available to them, both electronically and physically. So for us, when we talk about children having experiences in mathematics that link to their world, it showed that yes, with the tasks that we'd planned with the teacher, that we could link to the children being Māori and to the children being mathematicians as well, which was really exciting for us, wasn't it?
What challenges did you face during the process of the research?
I guess the biggest challenge in a way for us was trying to make sense of what was happening in the classroom. It was a complex, the classroom anyway, it was very complex. There's lots of things going on, and what you might think is going on is not really going on. The kids are actually thinking about something else or doing something else. So it's actually thinking, it's us trying to make sense now, and that's what we're trying to do, is make sense of what we see there. So that's challenging probably in any research, but in this one, this is what we're thinking about now, really.
Up next, our government reform special. Welcome to Central News. We are back with our government reform special. Hilary spoke with the Waipā District Council Mayor, Alan Livingston.
So the new policy statement is providing good quality local infrastructure, public services and regulatory functions at the least possible costs to households and business. Will this actually make a difference to how you govern?
Well, I'd hope not. That's one of the unfortunate things in our dealings with central government, is that it's been very difficult to find out what the actual meaning of that is. And their response is, well, it's no different to the full well-beings that we were working with. difficult to know, and I suppose the unfortunate thing is we won't really find out until it's challenged. But from our perspective, we'll be continuing as we are because we don't see any need to change, and with that definition, any justification for change.
Do you think councils should have caps on their spending that is enforced by central government?
Certainly not. Clearly, as I said, no one size fits all, and different councils have different needs, and the residents within the areas have different expectations. So it's difficult to apply a cap across the country to all councils. And at the end of the day, our ratepayers and residents are going to determine what our appropriate caps should be, and we're always going to be mindful of affordability and ability to pay.
Should councils and councillors and council staff be held more accountable if there is a decision that has resulted in public loss?
Well, councillors are always accountable every 3 years, importantly, and I can assure you we're accountable almost on a 24/7 basis for any decisions. Having said that, if there's major decisions, we're always consulting extensively, so there are no surprises. So I don't see it as an issue. Having said that, I do have a concern that there have been isolated cases throughout New Zealand where there have been issues where questions need to be raised. We work closely with our auditors, and I can't see how these issues should have arisen, and they certainly wouldn't arise in our situation.
Under the new reform, councils will be required to disclose in their annual reports information on the number of staff employed. How will this affect the Waipa District Council, and do you think that you'll actually be asked to make staff changes?
In Waipa's case, I don't see it making any change whatsoever. We're totally upfront with staff requirements. I do have a concern that in some cases, if pressure is applied for limits of staff, that will be carried out at the expense of more consultants being employed. So there needs to be a balance as to what's providing the best return for our council. You're always going to need consultants for specific roles, but staff have got institutional knowledge and a particular interest in their districts. So I don't see it as an issue at all for our district, as long as we're totally transparent with staff numbers and why we require them.
The Local Government Auckland Council Act 2009 mayoral powers in respect of appointing deputy mayors, establishing committees, appointing committee chairpersons and proposing plans and budgets will be extended to all mayors from October 2013. Will this actually give you more power than you already have?
I'm not sure if it'll give me or give the mayor any more power in the case of Waipa District, but I don't see it as an issue anyway, because in my 18 years in local government, we have worked collaboratively and positively and worked through all of those things, reappointment of chairs and composition of committees, appointment of deputy mayor. It's always been done democratically and it's never been an issue. So while it will be there in place if required, especially in some of the larger councils where there is a political influence, in the case of Waipa, I don't see it as being an issue and any need for change from what we've got at the present time.
Do you think that a council chief executive should be voted in?
Well, in effect, the chief executive is voted in by the council because they determine the appointment of their chief executive. But beyond that, I don't see that there is any validity in them being voted in. Clearly, we have to know the person we want at that time. We've got all the information at hand, and the council is in the best position to make that decision.
What about council board members?
Well, I suppose council laws are voted in every 3 years. I do have a concern that with the increased demands of local government, increased financial responsibilities, that there is a need to rapidly upskill councillors. But at the end of the day, democracy is to the fore and they're voted in or out every 3 years.
Do you think a council's liability should lie with central government or their ratepayers, or a balance?
I'd suggest a balance. Importantly, we're accountable to our ratepayers. That's the most important thing. But we also have to have a national balance to what we're doing, and therefore there is a need to be accountable to central government at the same time. So there is a balance, but with the emphasis with our own constituents.
What change of the local government reform bill do you think will affect the Waipa District Council most?
Well, I think the greatest impact has been nationwide to all councils, and the unfortunate thing is that central government has chosen not to consult with local government on a number of issues, and that's created uncertainty and just a real concern within local government as to the intentions of central government. And good local government reform has raised more questions than answers, and I do have a concern also that mixed messages are coming through from local government. On one hand, some of the central government leaders are saying for us to reduce debt. Other leaders are saying that we should maximise the use of our balance sheets. So there are mixed messages coming through from central government, and an apparent lack of engaging us, which obviously we're keen to do. So from my perspective, it's a nationwide issue which is of concern.
Join us tomorrow when we hear from Mayor Neil Sinclair. Up next, Yelp. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. A local business guide and review site launched around the world has made its way to New Zealand, and we caught up with the Vice President to find out more.
First of all, what is Yelp?
Well, Yelp is a website and a mobile app that lets you find great businesses in 20 countries, and starting tomorrow, 21. Because we'll be adding New Zealand. And so if you're looking for a salon, a plumber, a bakery, a place to get your nails done, or somewhere to fix your shoes, you can find reviews about all of those things and a lot more on Yelp.
And what have been the reviews so far?
Well, we have reviews sort of all over the place, from Austria to France to the US and Canada and even your neighbors in Australia. And they really range the whole gamut in terms of, you could find kind of anything you're looking for. If you want to buy a new puppy, or you want to get that same puppy obedience trained, you can find reviews on that.
So how do businesses enter their data?
Sure. So most of the businesses' data, especially here in Auckland, will already be available on the site. So basically, we will buy a third-party database, and that database will supply us with all of the businesses in the entire country of New Zealand. And so if you go as a business owner onto yelp.co.nz tomorrow morning and you see your business there, you can simply click on a little link that says, "Is this your business?" And you can claim the business, basically verifying for us that you are indeed the owner, or the manager. And then from there, you can take advantage of our free business owner tools. So you can make sure that your hours of operation and website and address are correct. You can add photos and tell us a little bit about your business, the history, and all of those sorts of things. Now, if you find that your business isn't already in Yelp, you can simply add it. And Yelpers can add it, so people who are writing reviews and reading reviews can add it. Business owners can add it. Really, anyone can add any business with an address.
Because Yelpers is quite a key term that I've seen on some American sitcoms and that kind of thing. Is it basically blogging?
Yelpers are really people that are using Yelp. So you can be a Yelper starting tomorrow. So it's anyone that's writing reviews, reading reviews, using Yelp to find something great in their neighborhood.
And some people write bad things?
That certainly can happen. So we have a star range rating goes from 1 to 5 stars, 1 star being the worst and 5 star being the best. And so I'm sure in your regular life you probably know that not everything can be 5 stars, and very rarely you probably encounter the odd 1 star. And of course those make for better television.
So when I go onto Yelp, is there a search bar that I can enter what I'm looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So log on to yelp.co.nz and then search for anything you like. So maybe you want a blow wave because you're having a really big date, or maybe you have to buy a baby onesie because you're going to a baby shower, or maybe you want to book a hotel room. You can find reviews about all of it there. So when you log on, you'll see a search bar pretty prominent at the top, and then you'll enter in what the search is and where you want it. So if you want to search in Hamilton, in Waikato, Auckland, you name it, it will be available.
What benefits do you think this could bring to the New Zealand tourism industry?
I think that people are already thinking about New Zealand as a place to come for adventure tourism and the like from other countries. I think what might be great about Yelp coming to New Zealand is having more people in the local area actually traveling within their country. So rather than just staying home at the weekend, watching Game of Thrones and having some Chinese takeout, you might decide, let's go away for the weekend, maybe to a place that's 2 or 3 hours away that I read about on Yelp. I heard that there's a great cottage or some opportunities for glamour camping. You never know. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities for people just in their local area.
I have to ask, what does Yelp stand for?
It doesn't stand for anything. It's actually the noise that a dog makes when you step on its tail. And we have a sort of unofficial mascot, and that's our CEO and co-founder, Jeremy Stoppelman's dog, Darwin. And he was a puppy when the site was founded back in 2004 in San Francisco. And I'm not so sure about this, but I think someone might have stepped on its tail.
Tell us about the mobile app.
Yeah, so we have Yelp available for the BlackBerry, iPhone, Android-enabled devices, iPad. What's really great about it is, let's say you're just out with some friends, having a drink, and you decide that you really need some tacos. Or if you don't get a chicken tikka masala, your night is not going to be complete. So you just whip out your mobile phone, open up the Yelp app, and it'll tell you all the best rated places right near you. So if you're wearing a pair of really high heels, you won't have to walk very far to get your dinner.
Have there been any challenges in the development of the site?
Well, I think one of the big challenges is always making sure that people take this site on as their own. So when the site opens tomorrow, there will be some content there, but not loads and loads. It will really be up to the people of New Zealand to take it on as their own and start writing about their favorite bakeries and mechanics and toy shops.
So what's your role at Yelp?
Well, I'm the Vice President of New Markets, so I head up our international expansion all over the world, from New Zealand and Australia and Singapore to France and Germany and the Netherlands, and a whole lot of places in between, since we're now in 20 countries, 21 starting tomorrow.
What's been some of the feedback from those countries?
I think, we hear a lot of people saying that they like the opportunity to give their opinions. In some markets, they're more ready to admit that they like to give their opinions, but what we found is whether they tell us that they're not the type of people to give their opinions or they are people with lots of opinions, it's pretty universal that everyone likes to make sure that they can avoid a bad slice of pizza and get a really great ice cream cone.
That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have any news, including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Amy Forrest. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.